President Biden is meeting with Senate Democrats today to work on multiple infrastructure proposals. Well, this comes as Senate Democrats reached a deal, they say, on a $3.5 trillion spending package. President Biden signaling that he will support. Let's check in with our own White House correspondent, Emerald Robinson, for the latest out of Washington, D.C. Hi, Emerald.
Hi, Heather. That's right. The White House is just a little bit closer to their big spending dream with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Bernie Sanders coming to an agreement on a $3.5 trillion reconciliation package. This is a larger package that includes health care, family care, education, the president's climate agenda funding that is moving on a parallel track with a bipartisan package that's a little more traditional, that has some support of some 20 Republican senators so far. Now, the White House isn't weighing in on which one they think should go first. Nancy Pelosi has said the reconciliation package would be the first that they would pass. However, it's not exactly a done deal, according to Press Secretary Jen Psaki speaking at today's briefing.
I would say, as you all know, if there were enough votes for each of these priorities, there would be a vote, and it would have happened. I will say that he's headed up to the Hill because it's the next natural step. Members of Congress negotiate the details, and then it's his role to continue to engage in selling both packages to members and the Senate and to the public.
Hence, President Biden's trip to the Hill today. He met with Senate Democrats for just under an hour. There are particularly two Senate Democrats that they're looking at: John Tester, who doesn't really like the price tag, and then also Senator Joe Manchin, who is signaling now, though, however, that he might be on board. But Republicans are not. In fact, the House Republicans putting out this tweet saying the last thing America needs right now is a multi-trillion-dollar partisan progressive spending spree under the guise of infrastructure. In Joe Biden's America, you pay more for just about everything. And this comes as the chair of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, was testifying before Congress. He said that if the inflation rate is, the data is higher than they expected. Now, the big question is it transitory, Heather and Joe? Is it here to stay? Powell was a little bit ambiguous on that point, saying, however, that it's not going to resolve itself anytime soon, so not in the next few months. Despite that, Democrats are set on doing these two big spending packages. Joe Biden said today, while he was leaving that and going in and leaving, that they were going to get it done. And in just a little bit here at the White House, he's going to meet with governors and mayors to sell it to these state and local officials as well. Heather and Bob. Heather and Joe.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. They just keep printing it like there's no tomorrow. Yeah. It's going to affect a lot of seniors today. Thank you so much, Emerald.
Thanks, Emerald. Well, as Democrats continue to push massive spending that Emerald was talking about, inflation in President Biden's America is breaking even more records. The Labor Department reporting today that producer prices rose 7.3% in June from the same time last year, making it the largest year-over-year increase in more than a decade. Well, the Consumer Price Index, the prices that you pay for goods and services, surging 5.4% in June, also the largest year increase in 13 years. The numbers just in the first 5 months of the Biden administration, shocking many economists, and it's a stark contrast from the economy under the previous president, Donald Trump. Joining us to discuss is Republican Senator from Kansas, Roger Marshall. Thank you so much for joining us, Senator Marshall. So I'd like to get your thoughts first on this infrastructure plan, this deal that allegedly has been met, and apparently Senator Joe Manchin may be on board as well. Your thoughts on that, just adding more spending on top of the rising prices and the inflation that we're already seeing. How will that impact things?
Oh my gosh, I've been telling people for months to grab your wallets. This is the tax and spend bill from hell for everybody. It's going to drive up inflation. It's going to keep us from having good roads, bridges, and schools in the future because we'll be trying to pay off of our debt. I think that this is a non-starter. On the other hand, I wanted to share with you that most Republicans are in favor of an affordable infrastructure plan that leads to good roads and to good bridges, something that paves our way towards a great future. But here the White House, again, is putting up roadblocks down every path that we're trying to take.
Now, Senator, I want to come to you because, at some point, people's heads start spinning. We start talking about trillions of dollars after more trillions of dollars. People can't even comprehend that amount of money. Truth be told, we can't even spend that amount of money. That's why there's so much backloaded money in that going out 5 years, 7 years, 8 years. Why can't we get some type of consensus amongst common sense senators and members of the House to just say, why don't we reallocate the money we've already allocated to deal with the imminent threats facing the American people?
That's a great question, but that's exactly how I would pay for the infrastructure bill that I want to do. I think I would repurpose $1 trillion that's sitting there and use it for infrastructure rather than social programs. But you're absolutely right. And we, on a bipartisan basis, the Senate has done exactly that. But this White House continues to reject it because they want the leftist socialist policies that's driving their party right now.
And this $3.5 trillion plan, it includes, I think, $600 billion in new infrastructure. But their definition of infrastructure, as we've discussed before, includes social programs, it includes family planning, it includes climate change, a lot of things that folks don't consider real needs when it comes to real infrastructure.
You're right. And one more point, just following up with Joe's comments there, is that I cannot understand $3.5 trillion, but I do understand many Americans are paying $100 more a week for gasoline right now. That's what we're feeling right now. This will continue to impact inflation. But you're right. This is not an infrastructure bill. This is the Green New Deal. This is social regulations, adding more and more regulations. And don't forget the tax part of this. They want to drive up your taxes, which is going to kill the economy.
Now, I want to, think one of the things we haven't talked about enough, in my opinion, is the impact that this type of inflation has on seniors. You talk about those individuals living on a fixed income who sat down with financial advisors, came up with a pool of money they thought would last them for the rest of their lives. They may need to go back to those advisors and find out that turns out they're going to need to start adding more money, finding new resources, or tightening that belt in ways that are not possible.
Yeah, Joe, that's spot on again. Just great economic analysis here, that inflation is really the greatest social injustice you could do to somebody. This is a regressive tax, and people who are going to really feel it are those young, hardworking families living paycheck to paycheck, as well as seniors like my parents who are at home living from paycheck to paycheck as well. So this type of inflation disproportionately hurts those that are economically challenged.
Remember back in June when Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said this about prices, going back to the prices that you were referencing. Listen.
Really, the problem now is that demand is very, very strong. Incomes are high. People have money on their in the bank accounts. Demand for goods is extremely high, and it hasn't come down. We're seeing the service sector reopening, and so you're seeing prices are moving back up off their lows there.
So we have this rebound in spending along with this widespread supply shortages, and they've come together and created what we're dealing with now with the rise in prices that everyone's going to have to pay for. And then on top of that, what you were just referencing, taxes that are on the way that really aren't going to just impact the top 1%. It's going to impact everyone across the board.
Yeah, exactly. So as long as we have these socialistic policies, inflation's going to continue. As long as we keep borrowing money, as long as we keep printing money, as long as we keep paying people more to stay at home than to go to work, we're going to continue to have bottlenecks in the manufacturing sector. We don't have truck drivers to drive the products to market after we make them as well. So these policies are what's driving this crisis. It's one crisis after another that this administration is creating.
Absolutely. Well, Senator Marshall, we appreciate you helping to sound the alarm on this. We look forward to touching base with you again soon to see how this continues to develop down in D.C. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.